From FingerLakes1.com, this is Inside the FLX. I'm Josh Durso, and today we're talking about a village situated in the middle of Wayne County. Newark Mayor Jonathan Taylor joins us in studio to talk about some of the headlines out of his community, give us an update on some development projects, and some other things from 2017 and looking forward into 2018. Jonathan, thanks a lot for being here.
Good afternoon, Josh, and thank you for having me here. It's great to be here with you again.
So, obviously, a lot's happened since the last time you were here. Actually, we were just talking before we came on, almost, I think, a little over 2 years to the nose. So, for those who might not remember the last time you were here, give us a little update on who you are, how you got involved in politics, and what sort of drove you to get involved with the community.
Well, politics is something that's always been a huge interest of mine, even going back into high school. And after college, I returned home to the home dairy farm. And back in 2012, a friend asked me if I would consider running to be a trustee, and thought that was intriguing. So I did run. I was successful in winning in 2012. I joined the board as a trustee. Was a fire commissioner for 2 years, as well as trustee. And then in 2014, the former mayor, after 12 years, decided to retire, so I ran for mayor and have been mayor since 2014.
What is I always ask people who've sort of seen the political landscape change over the years, what's it been like sort of watching the last 3, 4, 5 years sort of evolve in the political scene, not just on the really local scale, but even across the state?
I guess I would say it's very interesting how things change almost sometimes on a dime. Things turn at times, and it's very interesting to see how things seem to ebb and flow on the state and the national level as people are either happy or unhappy with their leaders. It seems that the changes happen quickly, especially on the state and national level if the voters are unhappy. So,
Now that said, speaking of changing on a dime, it seems like over the last couple of years it's been a whirlwind of positivity and just forward progress for Newark. One of the big changes that I think a lot of people are probably wondering about, especially if they aren't living in Newark, what's going on with Main Street? What's happening there?
So the South Main Street project actually began in about 2007 with some traffic studies and parking studies. And there originally was going to be some funding for South and North Main Street in Newark. But then after a couple natural disasters, hurricanes, that money that was allotted for the project was no longer available. So we kind of sat and waited. And over a year ago, the governor's office reached out to us to say that we would be getting state and federal funding for South Main Street. So then we were back at the table, and over the last year, we've been working on finalizing the design for South Main Street. And this is going to be a project that's going to go from Rose Drive to Union Street. It's a complete reconstruction of the road from right-of-way to right-of-way, so including all the sidewalks, the roads, curbing, street lighting, everything. And because the infrastructure is so old, and Newark is not unlike most communities in New York and the country, the infrastructure under our streets ranges from 80 to 130 years old, some of it. So we've decided that if we're going to reconstruct the road, we certainly want to replace the infrastructure underneath it before we put down a new road. So the board has decided to go ahead and replace the sewer and water lines. NYSEG is going to replace the natural gas lines. Actually, NYSEG's been is at the end of their third year of replacing gas lines in the village of Newark, and next year will be the fourth for them. Interestingly enough, they told me that after they're done next year, there won't be a line in Newark a gas line in Newark that's older than 1925, which is just mind-boggling that that's considered relatively new, and it's almost 100 years old. So replacing the infrastructure, it's really going to create a gateway to our community that we're really excited about, coming in from the south end of the village. Everything from planned basket hangers on new street lights, LED street lights, banner hangers, new planters throughout the South Main corridor, and some other upgrades. So it's a really exciting project.
What's been the reaction? What's that been like from the community, particularly the people who actually live on that street? What do they think of this whole whirlwind of activity?
Well, I think it's a mixed emotions, because everyone's excited about what this will look like in 2 years when it's completed. but we also know it's going to be inconvenient for everyone, for the residents, for the businesses. And we really need to work together to work through this, make sure businesses are accessible, residents are accessible. There's going to be changes. So anytime, for instance, recently to save money in the project and so the contractor can hit the ground running in March, we've started to take down trees along South Main Street that needed to come down because we had new utilities going in. Now, all of those trees will be replaced. But certainly at this time, Newark looks a little bit different with trees that have been removed on South Main Street. So there's inconveniences and adjustments that we'll have to make, and we'll have to be very fluid as we go through this because there'll be things that need to be done differently. Everything from parades to 5Ks that we have to think about. So it's exciting, but it's also, there'll be challenges ahead, and we're looking forward to those because on the other side, we're going to come out a whole lot better.
I was going to say, how important, because obviously, sure, it's a big undertaking, but 2 years in the grand scheme of things is not that long, is not that much time when you think about the dramatic change that's going to be taking place. How important is this type of project for a village like Newark, who's really, it seems to be over the last few years, putting a lot of focus on driving people downtown, driving people into the village, and keeping them there?
Absolutely, and that has definitely been a focus of ours. I listened to a city manager speak about creating a destination for your downtown, and that really hit home with me. And it's not necessarily a destination for somebody to come vacation, but a destination where people want to eat, they want to shop, a place that they want to be. So creating our downtown as a destination is definitely something that's a goal of ours. South Main Street, the reconstruction is going to help us do that. As I said, we're creating a gateway to the community. We want to rebuild our downtown. That's something that a lot of communities have lost over the last 50 years, and it's going to take some time. It won't happen overnight. So the South Main reconstruction is hopefully the beginning, there are already things that have taken place, but this is just a continuation of that goal of creating a destination in our downtown.
How do you guys, I know the last time you were here, you really focused on that connection to the Canalway and how important that was to bolstering what you guys offer in that downtown setting. It is very close. I mean, it is all really one right. item. How much thought on that side has gone into this whole project?
Yeah, and that's a great point. So last year, in our efforts to create, so another aspect of creating a downtown or making it a downtown a destination is to give people a sense of community, and bring people together. Create events that bring people downtown. Our chamber's done a great job with their food truck rodeo, the chamber and the farmers market. Last year we created a new event at the suggestion of a business owner. We created the Taste of Wayne County. The first year event, quite honestly, we put several months of planning into it, and we thought, if 300 people show up, that would probably be really good. Uh-huh. Well, we had 300 pre-sale tickets that were gone before the event, and that night we figured we had over 800 people there for a first year event along the canal, and the event was hosted along the canal. And from that event, I know other vendors have already said this is an event that we need to be at. So over 800 people on a Tuesday night, and well received by vendors and those who attended, and that ties us into the canal. From that, this year we applied for a Canalway grant to pave the trail, pave the rest of the canal trail, and to add lighting to that trail. And again, increase the quality of life for our residents and attract more people. The boaters that come through there come through from all around the world and stop in Newark each year. We're really proud of that Newark is a destination for them to stop in their travels along the canal. So we want to continue to build on that and build on the quality of life using the canal. And along with that, next year, Wayne ARC is going to have their street of shops along the canal there. So they're going to have a bakery, a cafe, increase their print shop, an ice cream shop. So that's going to be right there along the canal on Van Buren Street. So that's really going to add to the whole idea of giving our community a sense of place, a place to go, and activities and things to do when they're downtown.
Right. Now, there was another pretty significant infrastructure upgrade that made headlines last year. the sewer plant.
Yep.
I believe it was like 23 million.
23 million, yeah.
That's huge. Okay, so walk us through how that came to be, and then now that it's done and over with, what that was like, being able to sit on this side of the project and say, oh yeah, we got that done.
And that was another project that started before I joined the board, really the discussions. And, the aging infrastructure and a lot of the communities are in the same position that we were in several years ago and still are. So they're faced with some of the same decisions. The board had to decide, do we spend $23 million on this upgrade and have a wastewater treatment plant that is going to be around for 30, 50 years or longer, and without any, hopefully, need for significant upgrades. And that took a lot of fortitude on behalf of the board and have foresight to be able to say that, this is what we have to do to keep our community successful. And every economic development session you go to, whether it's state or national, everybody talks about being shovel ready. And the completion of that $23 million project goes a long ways in making Newark shovel ready, not only for residents to build homes, but for businesses to come into Newark, to set up shop, because almost all the time, their largest requirements are the utilities, sewer, water, gas, anything along those lines. So to be ready for them to come in and have that capability to handle whatever a business may need is huge for us. It creates jobs, it spurs the economy. And so finishing that $23 million project was huge for our community. And, going forward, we certainly have something that'll sustain us for a very, very long time.
Now, was that one of the so-called boxes that you had to check off before you guys could actually break ground and start moving on the Main Street project?
No, they're separate projects.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, a lot of, I'll call it just good economic development news coming out of Newark over the last couple of years, it seems. Ultralife won a big $49 million contract that got everybody really excited because it shows, businesses doing well in the Finger Lakes, the types of businesses that aren't just tourism related. Obviously, tourism has a huge role in what you guys do and what the region offers as a whole, but as mayor of a village that, probably 50 years ago looked a lot different, what is the takeaway, or what do you feel when you see a big contract like that, a military contract of all things, land in Newark, New York?
Well, that's absolutely fantastic news for us, because that Silver Hill Park up there where Ultralife is located has really seen a regrowth in the last 5 years, come a long ways. And certainly to see Ultralife grow and to create more jobs is great for us. And it's pretty exciting because we're getting to the point where hopefully now we're going to see new construction, because we need to build new facilities for companies to come to Newark. And that's good for us. The synergies that are being developed in that park alone from all the businesses down there. Elder One has gone in there. BOCES is going to go in there with their P-Tech program now. FLCC has been in there. So a lot of activity in a place where, a few years ago there wasn't as much. And we have some new developers there. So I'm really excited about that. And certainly working with the county IDA, which owns a lot of that park, is really helped us out. And with Ultralife gaining new contracts, it just continues to build that momentum that we need to grow as a community.
Do you think it's partially attitude that's attributed to the success that Newark has seen? Because it seems like, you talk to officials from throughout the area and you don't always get this really energetic bounce to this economic development discussion. But it seems like the folks in Newark, whether it's the residents, whether it's the officials, whoever you talk to, everyone seems really full of promise as far as, what's coming and what the next several years look like.
And I'm a big proponent of telling your story. And that's something that sometimes we don't do enough. It's interesting, it's easy for for people to be negative, find out what we don't like. And so I think I was told once, for every negative thing that happens, you need to have 10 positive things. So I've really told our team that we want to focus when there's good stuff going on. We want to make sure people know about it. We want to get press releases out. We want to talk about it. We want to talk about what's good, and we want people to help. It's a community effort to build on things. It's not just me and the board and our staff. It takes the whole community to really build on the momentum we have going. So we need to talk about tell our story, talk about what we're doing, and continue to keep the community involved and engaged, and to continue to grow together.
How important is that team aspect? Obviously, the Village of Newark must have a very strong team to facilitate the results that you guys have consistently been delivering over the last 2.5, 3, 4, 5 years.
Yeah, we have a great team, and it's interesting. One of the things that this year that we tried for the first time was applying for the Downtown Revitalization Initiative. The governor, round 2 was in 2017. It's you apply for $10 million for your community, and you compete against the others. And for us, certainly it's the Finger Lakes. And we put together a team for that project, and this was just one example. But our team of employees and a couple volunteers were in the office sometimes after 11 o'clock at night, several nights in a row, working on this application, which was no small feat. Yeah. It was amazing, and then with the support we had from the community, those that we reached out to that were able to help offer in different ways to that project, and think outside the box on projects that we wanted to include in that DRI application. It was really interesting. I was really proud of the community and the people that we had around us, because they really pulled together. And quite honestly, it was the first time we'd ever applied for that. It was definitely a steep learning curve.
Right.
So to pull together, and in a short period of time, really in less than 2 weeks, pull together an application and get it into the state. That was just one example of what a great team we have, what a great group of people we have in our community that pulled together to help make those things happen. So it is a great team environment, and enjoy working with them. Now,
if you're looking, obviously we're just starting 2018. If you're looking back at 2017, what do you think that the biggest accomplishment was for your administration, for the biggest success for the Village of Newark last year?
I guess to narrow it down to one or two wouldn't be easy. We're also looking forward to the LED streetlight conversion in the Village of Newark, on top of the South Main Street project, which is huge for us. We also were able to get $3 million in a WIA grant for a water treatment plant. We're just starting the design phase of that now. So we've had a tremendous amount of success. We've never really been aggressive about applying for grants before. This past year, we really became aggressive, and we were very successful. We didn't win all the time, but we were very successful. And certainly the $3 million for the WIA grant is huge for us. The $6.5 million that we were given with the federal and state government for the South Main project were huge. So those are certainly highlights for us. We hope that we can build on those things and continue forward.
So what are some of those goals for 2018 that you guys have sort of narrowed in on, that you're really interested in focusing on?
Well, I think that we're going to continue to look for ways to grow the community. We're going to use grants. We actually have we're working on an economic study right now of the entire village to help us to apply for more grants. One of the grants we were unsuccessful in was the Canalway grant. I would like us to continue the canal path, continue to pave that, to put lighting there, and add to the quality of life. Continue to add to the quality of life. Another goal, which is really going to be a longer term goal, is going to be to try to find funding for North Main Street to continue the project that started in 2007 through the Village of Newark. That will certainly be more challenging for us, as we have the South Main project going on, and we've done really well there. So that would certainly be part of it. There's a number of different aspects of the village that we address in that DRI application that we see that we would like to, that we feel if a project here and there would completely change kind of the complexion of the village and help move us forward.
Mm-hmm. Now, you keep honing in on this very modern, proactive approach that you have carried with you so far during your time as mayor. How important is that part of it? Just being proactive, staying ahead, being vocal, talking to people. Because it seems like when administrations, when village, towns, even counties, when they start to get in trouble or get behind the eight ball, it seems to be that it's usually due to a lack of communication. And it seems like you've figured that out, and you just are totally gung-ho on staying in front and talking to your constituents.
Well, we definitely do the best. We definitely work at that pretty hard. One thing I learned actually before I was on trustee for the mayor of Newark, I was on the board of directors for New York Farm Bureau, and I was on the executive committee for 3 years. And one thing I learned is that you need to communicate with your leaders. You need to get in front of them. You need to talk about why something's important to you. Again, tell your story, and that's something that we always want to be doing. If we have an opportunity to talk about what's going on in Newark, we need to do that so that if something comes up, that they're thinking about the village of Newark, and definitely communication. Communication is a challenge for everybody. I think in that, no matter what your role, what your business is, or what you do in life, communications is challenging. We try to communicate. We've tried to do things to help communicate more with our village. A very active Facebook page, website updates. We've gone to a Nixle system where people can receive emails on community events and other things, and even phone messages if there's some dire emergency. So we try to build on that communication. We want to stay out in front of things. I mentioned earlier the issue with the trees coming down on South Main Street. A lot of people weren't aware of the project coming up, so we tried to really get out there. This is why this is happening. We want to get out in front of it, and usually when you get out there and talk with people, or you get out in front of an issue, you're a lot better off, and people understand, and then everybody can just kind of move forward, and we kind of work together.
How much of a benefit is the social media aspect of it? You say you have an active Facebook page. The more I talk to people, the more, especially elected officials, I hear them, they basically are stunned at this, how easy it is to communicate and how quickly you can reach a whole lot of people. Was that kind of a surprise when you started to see how effective that could be?
I guess because I had already been on Facebook before the village had started our Facebook page about 5 years ago, I guess I kind of already had a grasp for that. But it is interesting how many people will tell you, I saw that on social media. I'm really glad that you put that up there. And a lot of times we'll put things up, on a yearly basis, depending on what it is, as a reminder that, this is whether it's a business or a code or something like that, to keep people kind of in tune. And then if something does come up and and people don't understand what's going on, as soon as you put something out there to explain it, it almost immediately changes the conversation, and that's good. You want to give people good information. One thing we find is if you on social media, if someone's upset with something, they put it ends up on social media, and if you see that, sometimes you can head things off and if you need to, correct things, or address it however it needs to be, and it works out for the better. So to close things out here, we've quickly burned through what is almost a half hour. Getting your crystal ball out, what do you see as far as Newark goes, looking 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years ahead, if continuing down the path that you guys have clearly created for yourselves? Well, I think we're going to continue to see businesses come to Newark. Our industrial park continues to grow. In fact, New Cut just had a ribbon cutting there in December, and at the ribbon cutting, Sean Whitaker stated that they're already looking at expanding. The ribbon literally just hit the ground, and they're talking about expanding on their new facility. So we see more people, hopefully more businesses coming to Newark and Industrial Park. Silver Hill Technology Park will hopefully continue to grow. So with that will bring more jobs, more good, well-paying jobs, and bring more people to our community. We're going to continue to work to build our downtown. As we said, we'd like to make Newark a destination for whatever, whether it's to live, work, come to eat, shop. We want to continue to work on that. And I think the way we always look at it is there's so many small pieces to the puzzle. There's never one big thing that's going to make everything change overnight. But it's the little pieces to the puzzle that we keep building that puzzle. We keep growing our community, and we keep continuing forward.
All right. Well, I really appreciate you coming in, and we will get you in again before 2 more years pass. I absolutely promise you that one.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you. I enjoy being here.
All right, well, that's going to do it for us today. I'd like to thank Mayor Taylor, our listeners, and, of course, FingerLakes1.com for making this podcast possible. Inside the FLX airs Sundays at 7 p.m. on Spectrum, Channel 12, and is available on iTunes, Stitcher, and the FingerLakes1.com app. Thanks for listening, and we will catch you next time.